For all of us, it is important to plan ahead and set personal goals. And there are times in history when men and women have challenged themselves to accomplish giant tasks, which may appear almost impossible to the average observer. For some ambitious visionaries, they understand that it is unlikely that their great dream can be fully accomplished within their lifetime. But if the goal is clear and well planned, it may inspire those that follow them to see the dream through to fulfillment. Hello, my name is Lauren Grace from the Rainforest Art Project, and this is the story of a brilliant American sculptor who left his successful studio in Connecticut to move west to carve an entire mountain. Korczak Ziolkowski was born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1908 to Polish parents, but sadly he was orphaned at the age of 1 and grew up in a series of foster homes. Korczak received no formal art education, but proved himself to be an accomplished designer and sculptor at a very early age. In his 20s, Ziolkowski moved to New Britain, Connecticut, where he sculpted marble busts of prominent citizens. And in 1939, at the age of 31, Ziolkowski went west to work on the giant sculpture of the American presidents at Mount Rushmore. He returned to New Britain when his sculpture of the great pianist and composer Paderewski had just won first prize at the New York World's Fair. This proved to be a real boost to Ziolkowski's reputation as a world-class artist. His career was going very well and he was quite comfortable with his success in Connecticut when one day he received a message that would change his life forever. The letter was from Chief Henry Standing Bear of the Lakota tribe, which said, "Dear Mr. Ziolkowski, my fellow chiefs and I would like the white man to know that the red man has great heroes too." He went on to tell Mr. Ziolkowski how much he and his fellow chiefs admired his work and requested that he return to the Black Hills to meet with them to discuss the creation of a giant monument to the legendary chief Crazy Horse. Mr. Ziolkowski took this invitation as a great honor. For while he was in the West, he had gained a tremendous admiration for the Native Americans and their love for the land and their struggle to preserve their way of life. Over the next few years, Ziolkowski began visiting the Black Hills to meet with Chief Henry Standing Bear and other leaders of the Lakota Nation to plan their monument. He also met and fell in love with a young artist named Ruth Ross. But he had to put all of his plans on hold during World War II. Ziolkowski volunteered for the US Army and was wounded in Omaha Beach in Normandy while fighting the Nazis. And in 1947, when the war was over, he packed his belongings, moved to the Black Hills and began looking for a suitable mountain for his giant sculpture. On June 3rd of 1948, he had found the perfect location, and the first blast was made to begin the sculpture. The massive memorial was dedicated to the Native American people. And in 1950, Ziolkowski and Ruth Ross, who had become a volunteer on the project, were married. And she understood the giant sculpture would be their #1 priority for as long as they were together. The mountain thundered with the sound of blasting, and after each explosion, trucks and tractors would go in to remove the rocks. The thousands of tons of these rocks were used to pave roads to access the memorial. Ziolkowski got to see the great Chief Crazy Horse begin to emerge from the granite mountain before he died in 1982, 36 years after beginning his vision. His widow, Ruth Ziolkowski, took over the project until her death in 2014 at the age of 87, and now it's being worked on by their 10 children and 2 grandchildren. At 560 feet high, this will be by far the largest sculpture in the world, and it has been funded entirely by donations and small admission fees. When Ziolkowski and the Lakota tribal leaders were asked why they have dedicated themselves to preserving the legacy of Chief Crazy Horse, they made the statement that He is a hero because of his character and his loyalty to his people. He's remembered for how he cared for the elderly, the ill, the widowed, and the children. His dedication to his personal vision caused him to devote his life to serving his people and preserving their valued culture. In 2007, the University of South Dakota received a generous donation from T. Denny Sanford, a philanthropist, and the funds were used to build the Indian University of North America next to the memorial. This will enable Native American students to better understand and appreciate and preserve their rich heritage. It may take the Ziolkowski family another 40 years to complete this amazing memorial, but it will last forever, reminding all future generations of the courage and compassion of the great Chief Crazy Horse. It will also serve as a beautiful tribute to the remarkable ability of Chief Henry Standing Bear and Korczak Ziolkowski to plan ahead and set personal goals. Giant goals. This is Lauren Grace signing off with the Rainforest Art Project, changing the world one piece of art at a time.